Mr. Shankar Ranavaraya, my good friend, Chairman of the CII Tamil Nadu State Council, Mr. Ganesh Kalyan Raman, Co-Chairman of CII CONNECT, my friend Mr. Srivats Ram, Vice Chairman of CII Tamil Nadu State Council, my fellow officers of the government, through Arun Raj, IAS, the Executive Director of ELCOT, and Ms. Vanitha Venugopal, CEO of the Tamil Nadu Technology Hub, IT&T Hub. All of you here this morning, ladies and gentlemen, the very distinguished awardees who we recognize today on behalf of CII, members of the media. Good morning to all of you, and thank you to CII for inviting me for, I think, the fourth time that I'm attending a CII Connect event in the last two years. First, I apologize for the delay. I thought the event was starting at 10 o'clock and I would join it late. I got held up for various things, and I'm sorry that you all had to start half an hour late, but hopefully we'll finish early, so your rest of the program will be on track. I'm very happy about the theme, Tech for Tomorrow. I think it's very apt because of two or three things. The first is the tech industry is in one of its generational shifts or paradigm shifts with the kind of data scale, generation, storage, and analytical power that comes out of really high computing capability, not just purchased computing capability, but hireable by the hour from the cloud computing capability. The whole nature of the industry is in a major transformation. It is also a time when the global economy, after probably 15 years after the global crisis, has started to confront some of the long-standing problems, and the massive turmoil in the long-term bond markets and interest rates is an indication that we're entering a new era, as much as the geopolitical trends of a shift away from a 30-year China and the rest of the world global transaction model. In that sense, it's a very good time for Tamil Nadu because, in truth, we have fallen behind quite a bit. We were the pioneers in the late 90s, and if you look forward now about 25 years later, we have not really kept up with the Bangalores, maybe even the Hyderabad's of the world. This is a chance for us to use volatility as our friend. As they used to tell me when I was a trader on Wall Street, volatility is always your friend because the upside is now very high, almost unlimited, and the downside in some sense is capped anyway for people like us and for states like us. In the case of the government of Tamil Nadu, I'd like to just use this opportunity to talk about 3 or 4 major areas where we think tomorrow we can have a much different outcome than we had yesterday. And those are broadly the transformation of government processes and engagement with citizens, increasing social equity and access through high-speed connectivity, providing jobs and opportunities for our young people, and creating an ecosystem for innovation and rapid transformation of the economy. These are, I think, not uncommon to other people's ambitions, but in our case, we are very specific. And in fact, the one that I will start with, which is transforming the government and engaging with citizens, I must first confess that when I travel around the country and see states like Telangana, like Rajasthan, like Kerala, like Karnataka, in fact, Tamil Nadu has not kept up in the way it administers itself, in the way government functions interact with each other, and in the way that we connect with citizens. Today, I am particularly happy that something I drove very aggressively when I was in finance, which is the furthering of the agricultural department's tech platforms and the ability to uniquely identify every beneficiary of every subsidy along with a matched Adangal record and eventually to take that to procurement centers and to digital exchanges of selling on the forward platform. I'm glad to see that they have been given an award and that they're moving towards some of the vision that we had. That's one example. The Honorable Chief Minister a couple of weeks ago has formally launched a very comprehensive document, which is Tamil Nadu's digital transformation strategy, and we will use that as the basis to create a completely new approach to the application of technology to facilitate ease of doing business within the government first. As somebody who has seen probably thousands of files when I was in my old portfolio, I can tell you that the processes are less than efficient. My current secretary gave me an example that he had been assigned a particular vehicle before he took his old job. That is, that a file had moved and said, for this job, we will be purchasing this kind of vehicle. And he wanted to actually change that vehicle. He didn't want a four-wheel drive kind of SUV. He wanted a regular sedan. Cost less or cost roughly the same. And he thought it should be a no-brainer. Nobody objected to it. There's no logical reason why anybody should object to it. But the process took 3 months to get the file cleared. Now, this is the kind of inefficiency that we can ill afford in government. And so the Chief Minister's vision with this digital transformation document is that those kinds of processes should happen relatively instantaneously, as therefore then the platform can interact with citizens in a much more efficient manner. So from applications, from hosting, from cybersecurity, from cloud, all of this we will focus on as one of the major initiatives of our government and the legacy of our time in office. The second area is something again that is on the theme, one of the themes for this Connect conference, which is equitable access and through that social equity. If we didn't know it before, we learned during the pandemic that distance education and video-based learning are the future. And yet there is great inequity in people's ability to access such content and such learning. So part of that is the way the state should convey content, but part of it is just simply hardware and infrastructure. And our BharatNet progress, as you may know, is substantially behind other states because of some legacy problems we inherited from our predecessor government relating to the tenders and the transparency of it. But at any rate, it's now in active progress, though not happening as quickly as I'd like. But our vision is that by this time next year, we should have fiber-based 100 Mbps connectivity to 12,600 panchayats. That's 100% of the panchayats in Tamil Nadu, and match that, in some way. We are very fortunate, as some people have pointed out, that we have many tier 2 cities. And I just want to put this in context. When I also moved back from the US as an expatriate first in 2006-07, I was lucky to get 1 Mbps digital, internet service through DSL in the heart of Chennai. Now in my office in Madurai, I can get 300 Mbps over fiber, which is just showing you the transformation that has happened in the cities. Unfortunately, that hasn't reached the rural areas, and it is the role of government to make sure that we can make that equitable and at least get a decent speed like 100 Mbps, which we are comfortable we can achieve in the next year. The third and probably most pressing concern is that India as a whole, but Tamil Nadu certainly, should fully benefit from the demographic dividend. Why is Tamil Nadu particularly interested in this? Because India will continue to have a relatively young population for probably the next 20-30 years, because birth rates in poorer parts of the country, particularly in the north, continuing to be high, whereas we are already on a declining model. The total fertility ratio in Tamil Nadu is substantially less than 2, 2.12 being the replacement rate. We're probably at 1.6. We are already a declining population, and we will never get this boom of youth entering the workforce again. So our primary objective here is to provide opportunities, both employment and entrepreneurship, for these young people. And if even that means, as the Chief Minister said 2 years ago, creating world-class talent that is portable anywhere in the kind of economic global market, then so be it. We have some great advantages going for us. As you may know, India produces about 1 million engineering graduates a year. And depending on the year, Tamil Nadu is 16-17% of that. So though we're only about 6% of the population, the good news is we're producing 2x or 3x that in terms of the percentage of engineering graduates. The not so good news is, are we creating jobs for all of them, and are they actually employable? Are they coming out with the skills that the employers can actually immediately benefit from? And the answers to both those are, mixed, not so great. But we are working on that, as many people have pointed out here, the CM's PET program, which is the non-Motherland program. Expanding on that, we have one of the best ICT academies in India that is got offices in multiple states, that is 15 plus years old. We also have, I think, multiple ways in which we can improve the government's role in facilitating and promoting IT investment and IT sector growth. I will repeat here what I said in the assembly a month ago when we were in session. I said, based on the number of requests I get to go and open facilities and the numbers that I see when I go attend these events and how many I can't go, my best guess is across Tamil Nadu, we are creating 10,000 additional jobs a month in the IT sector. Just think about that. 10,000 additional jobs a month. That's the good news. The bad news is I'm not sure that many of them are getting hugely incentivized by the government. Our natural ecosystem, our talent, our infrastructure, our connectivity in flight, in other ways, but also our connectivity with the diaspora is creating a natural draw. And companies I didn't even know existed, like big US media companies, here have 4,000, 5,000 people and are expanding on their way to 8,000, 9,000. I opened a company in Madurai a couple of months ago that started with 1,100 seats and is going to 6,000 or 7,000 seats in the next 2 years. So these are the opportunities, and we as a government really need to step up and improve our role, our facilitation, our support, and we're going to announce in the next couple of weeks some major new initiatives where we clean up the promotion process. We remove a lot of the confusion of which door to knock for what reason. We leverage the relationships with people like CII, NASCOM, etc. And we run active campaigns to actually solicit, to show what are, to first find out the scale of our success, to then highlight it around the world, and then use that as a draw of the next acceleration. Instead of 10,000 jobs a month, we should be targeting 20 or 25,000 jobs a month with our own efforts. So that's the vision in terms of the employment and the growth. And lastly, I would say to create an ecosystem for innovation. I was very happy today that I had some connect or history with almost all the awardees. I had gone to Open Unifor's office in the IIT Madras Park, of course the Department of Agriculture. I had already visited the Madurai-based company when I was there. I'm happy to note the other gentlemen from Dindikal. I know Dr. Armugam from before. So at some level, I'm aware of what is happening, because I think the seed of innovation actually starts with a mindset. It starts with this perception among a group of people that they are limited only by their own abilities and their own work ethic, and that if they put their mind to it, they can achieve anything. I mentioned this when I went to IIT Madras Research Park the first time, maybe 2 years ago, and I met the many brilliant companies that were there. And in my speech, I said, I have not seen this in India anywhere else. I've seen it all over the world. I've seen a lot of it in the United States, but I've not seen it anywhere else in India. And what is the most amazing thing about it is that young people believe that if they can dream it and they can work hard enough and they can apply themselves, they can do it, and there's no other barrier. That is the core of innovation. That is the core of entrepreneurial growth in the tech industry. Though I was in finance for many decades, towards the later part of my professional career before entering public life, in the early part of my career, both academically and professionally, I was quite engaged with the tech ecosystem. And I remember that through waves of innovation, starting with the first dot-com boom, after which I was at MIT for a while, and then the second and the third generation of this. I just want to say anecdotally something that happened to me last week, which also gives me great hope. I took my younger son on a tour of US universities, mostly on the East Coast, and I went and visited the University of Chicago, MIT, Harvard, Brown, Yale, Columbia, and I was so impressed. This is this can-do attitude that comes out of the best universities. It says that you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything that you put your mind to if you work hard enough. And we are here to support you to do that. That system, again, I say I've seen it in IIT Madras, but I haven't seen it in too many other places. We need to create multiple versions of that with things like the IT&T hub in Chennai and the expansion of those in other places. But the anecdote I want to say is that as I was rushing through Chicago's O'Hare Airport and trying to catch the flight with my young son, I suddenly realized my shoelaces were untied. So I sat down to tie my laces, and when I looked up, there was a gentleman standing next to me, and he says, "Sir, it's you. I can't believe it's really you." And he got on talking to me and saying he was a big fan. But there was a Tamil tech person, like so many all over the world, who was in a very successful professional career and who was rushing from some place to some place on work himself, but who also wanted to say, how can I contribute? How can I, help growth back in Tamil Nadu? What opportunities are there? The diaspora that we have is everywhere. I've had experiences like this in Europe, in Australia, in other parts of the world, in the Middle East. And so partly the strength that we have, probably the single best strength that we have, is the wonderful Tamil diaspora that has done brilliantly well in many fields, in medicine, in finance, in other things, but in tech particularly around the world. And we hope that we will use them as an unbeatable edge or advantage when it comes to creating an ecosystem of innovation and excellence here in Tamil Nadu. So with that, let me thank you again for this opportunity to be here. Let me congratulate CII on yet another successful edition of this Connect conference. I appreciated being part of it in Coimbatore and in Madurai, and I believe, as others have said, that part of our strength and certainly the greatest trajectory of our growth will come out of Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, and the government will do its part to do that. I congratulate the winners again, all well deserved, and the iconic companies that will provide inspiration for others to follow. I'm very happy to note the topics, and particularly of relevance to me, under the theme of Tech for Tomorrow. The changing role and importance of GCCs, smart work practices, starting with the government of Tamil Nadu itself, we need to do. Infrastructure with equity, something I talked about in BharatNet, and then diversity and inclusion, which again we take great pride in Tamil Nadu, that among the states in India, we probably provide the most equitable, though far from perfect, access to women in the workforce, which leads to, 43% of all women engaged in manufacturing in India are operating out of Tamil Nadu, among other statistics. So, exciting times. Of course, the future is always exciting, unless you're in the middle of some deep crisis. But I think in particular in the technology space, the next few years promises to be a transformative, a paradigm shifting kind of period. And I hope that, as I said from my finance days, volatility will be our friend and we will all find great outcomes, relatively speaking, to the past in the next few years. Thank you again and wish you all a good conference over the next couple of days.